Hi, I'm Ashley Edwards, and the vulnerable population that I selected is foster parents. This presentation will go over some of the health concerns and what makes us a vulnerable population. I'll also be talking about the children that are placed in foster care and their health concerns. There hasn't been a lot of research done on the health concerns for foster parents. There's been more research done on the health concerns for children placed in the foster system. And studies have shown that children placed into foster care are at an increased risk for physical and mental health concerns, which can cause stress and can lead to health concerns and health issues for the foster parents. So we'll talk a little bit about the size of this population. In Utah, there are approximately 2,500 children in foster care and around 1,300 licensed foster families. I wasn't able to find any city-specific statistics regarding foster care, just the state statistics. And there are over 400,000 children in foster care nationally, with an estimated 200,000 licensed foster families. So we can see that locally and nationally there are more children in foster care than there are licensed families to care for these children. And globally, there are approximately 2.7 million children in foster care or some type of alternative living situation. It's hard to find solid statistics on how many children are in foster care and how many licensed foster families there are globally, because each country manages their foster care system differently. And there are approximately 933,000 children between the ages of 0 and 17 that live in Utah, and 7.4 million children between the ages of 0 to 17 that live in the world. Now, looking at this, 2,500 children in foster care out of 933,000 children overall in Utah. That does seem kind of like a small number. However, when we consider that these children that are placed in foster care are at such a higher risk for exposure to trauma and health, physical and mental health issues, we can see that this is a big health concern and that there needs to be some support for these families that are caring for these children. So foster care is also known as out-of-home care. It is a temporary service provided by the states, at least in the United States, for children who are unable to live in their homes. And children are taken out of their homes for various reasons, including neglect, substance abuse, inability to care for children, or lack of desire to care for their children. And foster parents can be related or unrelated to the child or children they're caring for. And Utah requirements for foster parents include they have to be legally married if they're a couple living together, or they can be single living alone. They have to be at least 21 years old, be a U.S. citizen or a legal resident. They have to be able to pass a background check and be financially stable and be healthy as determined by their doctor. Now, foster parents are at an increased risk for health concerns because their children in foster care do come from all different backgrounds, and oftentimes these foster parents are not given much notice when they get these children, and that can be very stressful to have a child that has such a different background than what you're used to and what your family's used to. They also may not have the education and assistance that they need for handling children who have experienced trauma. They may lack support groups and support for them in dealing with this child that has a traumatic background and potential behavioral issues or physical health issues, and they may not have that support that they need, which can put them themselves at risk for mental health issues. And then they also may not have the emotional support that they need when children are reunited with their birth family. That can be a very stressful time for both the child and the foster parents. So there are some unique contributing factors and some specific concerns for foster parents as they are dealing with children who have experienced trauma and that may have a lot of behavioral issues as a result of this trauma. They're working with parents in the reunification process. I have a family member who is a foster parent, and she said that that was probably one of the hardest things, is working with the parents and trying to help them to meet their goals to eventually reunite them with their child, and knowing that they caused so much pain and trauma to this child that it was very emotionally taxing for her and the rest of her family. And then also working with courts and caseworkers and trying to meet all their expectations and their meetings and requirements. So we know that more and more children are entering into the foster care each year due to neglect and to parental substance abuse. Unfortunately, that's just part of our society and is causing more children to be taken out of homes and entered into the foster care system. Now we'll talk a little bit about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Foster parents are required to be financially stable, in good health, and have a clean home with plenty of room for the foster child or children. So both foster parents and foster children needs of their physiological and their safety needs should be met when the children are placed into a foster care system. Now, foster parents and children experience many different emotions, and I think one area that there is concern for a need not being met is the love and belonging and esteem. I know in talking with my family member that is a foster parent, she says that she feels like her daughter that she is fostering, and she calls her daughter, has such a lack of empathy and doesn't seem to appreciate all that she's doing for her and the help that she's trying to get her. And then she also sees that she has a low self-esteem and is dealing with depression, and it's very hard for both of them to find a balance and be able to meet each other's need of being loved and feeling like they belong and to have good self-esteem. The ultimate goal for foster care is either reunification or adoption. And definitely the needs of the child and the safety of the child has to be considered. But that is the ultimate goal, is that the child will either be placed back with the biological parents who can meet all of their needs, or they will be adopted into a family that can provide that support and needs for them. And about half of the children that are placed into a foster home are reunited with their families. And foster parents are able to help these children feel safe and secure and aid in their growth and development, to help them to have all their needs met and to hopefully eventually, as they grow and develop, to be able to take care of themselves as they become adults. And unfortunately, the majority of children that are placed into foster care are raised in poverty, which does put them at an increased risk for HIV, lack of immunizations, lack of preventative medical care, malnutrition, and poor living conditions. And that in turn exposes the foster parents to many of these conditions as well. So it's important for foster parents to be able to have access to the care that they need, especially to provide the care for their child and get them the medical care that they need so that they can be healthy and be able to thrive. And then children in foster care are also at an increased risk for neurological impairments, growth delays, developmental delays, vision impairment, hearing impairment, malnutrition, respiratory issues, PTSD, and other emotional concerns, and social skills deficits. And all of these issues can cause more stress and have an impact on the foster parent and the other family members. So it's important to be able to have the families that are caring for these children, for them to have access to the care that they need and to get the care quickly for the child that they need and help them with some of these issues and whatever issues they may have. And then children in foster care are at a higher risk to have suicidal thoughts and self-harm, and they're also at a higher risk to injury to others due to depression and other mental illnesses. So it's important that these are quickly assessed and that foster parents are educated on what to look for so that the child does not harm themselves or that they don't harm someone else, so that that they can get help and access to the mental health care providers and help these child as quickly as they can. And then these are just the resources that I use to put together this presentation. There certainly are needs for support for foster parents and for the children in foster care, and they are a vulnerable population as they have a lot of different issues that they're dealing with that stem from the trauma that these children may experience. So hopefully we can, as a healthcare system, look at this and work to provide them with the help that they need. Thank you for watching my presentation.